Stress is God's way of training you. It's preparation. But what most people do is, see, once you get stressed, you don't want that no more. So now you give up, you through. Nobody likes stress because some people just let themselves go. But you got to, in order to develop and to change and to grow, stress is necessary. So you got to be willing to go get it every day. There's a story my father told me all the time. Now I've heard it several different ways. He said, son, he said, every morning on the plains of the eastern Serengeti Desert, there arises a gazelle that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest lion, or he will be eaten and he will die that day. On that same desert arises in the morning a lion that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest gazelle, or he will starve and he will die that day. He say, son, the moral of the story is, no matter who you is, when you wake up in the morning, you needs to be running.
Greatness. It's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift, reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars. And the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
I always believe leaving no stone unturned. That's what makes you a champion.
Sometimes the first year you say, well, you know, I'm so healthy now, what difference is it going to make? You've got to be smarter than that. Just because disaster doesn't fall on us at the end of the first day doesn't mean disaster isn't coming. You've got to be so smart that you look down the road and say, will the errors in my present judgment of philosophy, what's that going to cost me in 1 year, 6 years, 1 month, 6 months? I'm telling you the money cost and the health cost and the success cost is too gigantic if you'll look down the road a little ways and say, are there errors in my current judgment like an apple versus a Hershey bar? Is that just a good illustration of some of the rest of my errors in judgment? If it is, that's where I found myself at age 25. I started working when I was 19. I met my teacher who helped turn my life around when I was 25. That's 6 years. At the end of the first 6 years of my economic life, I've got pennies in my pocket. I've got nothing in the bank. The creditors are calling saying, hey, you told us the check was in the mail. I'm embarrassed. I'm behind on my promises. I live in America. I'm 25-year-old American male. I got a nice family, every reason to do well. And I'm messed up. Now, what's messed up? I used to think it was the community that was messed up. The country was messed up. The government was messed up. Those Democrats ever get in the White House, that'll really mess things up. The Republicans stay in power, that'll really mess things up. The economy was messed up. Interest rates are messed up. I thought all this stuff was messed up. Then I found out that's not what was messed up. I was criticizing the only thing I had to work with. What was really messed up was my own personal philosophy. My own errors in judgment in my own personal philosophy brought me in 6 years to pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, and trying to explain why I wasn't doing well living in America, 25-year-old American male, got a family, every reason to do this. Now, once I understood this, here's the formula for failure: errors in judgment, being lax about developing your own personal philosophy. I'm telling you, it's called accumulated. Doesn't matter whether it's your health or your bank account. Guy's got an empty bank account, probably has high cholesterol. Why? Over the last 6 years, he never paid attention to either one. And it doesn't matter whether it's a dollar, or whether it's your money, or whether it's your cholesterol count. All you got to do is commit the errors, and just because disaster doesn't fall on you at the end of the first day that you don't eat an apple. Say, well, I didn't eat an apple today, and tonight I'm not ill. Well, you got to be brighter than that. Someday you got to leave first grade.
See, I'm a seed. I really am. But a seed has to be planted. A seed got to have dirt put on top of it. If you take a seed and throw it on the concrete and walk off, the sun just burn it up. But guess what? Logically, in my mind, it doesn't make sense that to grow something, you should dig a hole, put it down in there, and cover it with dirt. Logically, that don't make no sense to me. But oh, though. See, dirt is necessary for growth and development. Dirt builds character. Dirt gives you the push-through factor. Dirt makes you come with it when you don't feel like coming with it no more. And you get dirt in a lot of different ways. All of y'all that had dirt thrown on you. And dirt ain't always what you want. It's somebody talking about you down on your job. It's somebody accusing you of something that you didn't do. It's somebody telling you you ain't gonna make it. It's somebody sharing information about you that ain't true. That everybody get dirt put on. But see, when you're getting put under that stress, please know God is always working. God is always working, so I smile. Because I know He back there. See, that dirt builds character in you. When they talking about you, it teaches you to withstand it. Then it gives you something to push through. So when you put the seed and you put the dirt on it, if you understand stress, stress really ain't just dirt. See, they don't call it dirt when they plant it. They call it soil. Because see, soil has nutrients in it. What the nutrients, when people talking about you, dogging you, lying on you, backbiting, stealing from you, talking about you, they're actually putting nutrients in you.
You're out there partying, horsing around. Someone out there at the same time is working hard. Someone is getting smarter and someone is winning. You never want to fail because you didn't work hard enough. But if you want to win, there's absolutely no way around hard work. No pain, no gain.
We're wired differently. We have to set a goal, but if we hit that goal, we're guaranteed to make sure all that other stuff in the middle is going to happen. Why 3 o'clock in the morning? Why don't you sleep? My appetite. I say, I want more. I can do more. If I accomplish this without a father, if I accomplish this with my mom being a teenage mom, if I accomplish this as a high school dropout.
How many of you believe in your life that your worst day can become your best day if you turn it around?
Now let me give you the secret to success. Formula for failure. A few errors in judgment repeated every day for 1 month starts the weakness, starts the disaster process. You can imagine what happens. Now here's the formula for success. A few simple discipline practice every day. You started a whole new process called a whole new life. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. And if you decide today to go for the apple instead of the Hershey bar, I'm telling you, you have begun the process of turning your life around. And if you keep up that process, not only with your health habits, but with your money habits, with your communication habits, with your sales habits, management habits, and every other habit that you've got, if you'll start that process, eliminate the errors and replace it with disciplined practice, I'm telling you, you can start this process of life change immediately. After today, you don't ever have to be the same again. Only by choice. You don't have to walk out of here the same as you walked in. Only by choice. You can start a whole new process. You say, well, Mr. Rohn, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Where else would you start but with an apple? You don't have to start with something staggering. What if you should be walking around the block for your good health and you don't? What'll that do in 6 years? I'm telling you, the word is disaster. You could, and you should, and you don't. Here's an even stronger word. You won't. I mean, don't might mean you're careless. Won't probably means you're stubborn. And either one's called disaster. Could, should, don't. I'm telling you, that's why at the end of 6 years, I found myself with pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, creditors calling. Could, should, won't. Could, should, don't. It's called disaster. Now, how do you change all that? The next 6 years, I got rich. The next 6 years, I became a millionaire. By the time I'm 31, I'm a millionaire. How about that? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, what happened? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. I'm telling you, taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were the same. I'm telling you, the economy was about the same, and prices were about the same, and everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same.
Everything you see above ground that blossoms and plants and grows and that's beautiful, it was underground one time. All them potatoes, collard greens, they was underground one time. Them apple trees, they was underground one time. So they had to prove themselves. See, you want to be successful, well then you got to prove yourself. You got to push through the dirt. You got to come up through here. You got to come out. Then you sprout, and then Bishop say, then you become a tree. Next thing you know, you got fruit. So when you under stress, take the stress for what it is. Don't get fooled. Don't just think, oh, man, Lord must not mean for it to be. What you tripping for? What you talking about? How you think you're going to be a plant, a tree, a flower, a bush, and ain't no stress? How you going to get to be that without no dirt? I expect people to talk about me. Matter of fact, I look forward to it now. Do your thing, because if I can weather what happened to me and my family earlier, you can bring whatever you got now. There's some more stuff going around now that's about to happen. Bring it. Because now I have developed a character that is stress. I have soil, enough dirt on me that is providing me with nutrients.
Do you realize that every day you thought you wasn't going to make it? Do you remember them days where you thought it was absolutely unbearable and you thought you wasn't going to endure that one? Do you know that your survival rate for every last one of them bad days is 100%?
If I can accomplish these things from this start, now that I'm at this place, knowing what I know now.
Hi, welcome back to Mind Control, where we inspire and motivate you. Hope you enjoy the video.
Purpose. What's your purpose? Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing all the hard stuff? Why do you get up every day and look for motivation? Now, I don't know what yours is, but I know mine. You know, I hear people say, oh, you got the fancy car and you got the jet and you got the wife and you got the kids and you got the life and you get to travel and speak. None of those things, because we all know the people that have the 6 or 7 or 8 or 12 or 20 cars. I was looking at this house the other day. It's got a 20-car garage. And I'm like, dude, why would you need a 20-car garage? Certainly I get it. I get it that somebody's got so much money and so much wealth that they just have to continue to buy stuff, or they got 3 or 4 or 5 homes or 2 or 3 jets or whatever the deal is, right? But the reality is that doesn't fill me up. You know, what's always filled me up, even when I was, and I got the fancy stuff. Look, I'm not bouncing on the fancy stuff. I like nice things too, like anybody. But when is enough, right? When do you have too many nice things and find out the well is empty? You, the vessel. And for me, like, I want to help people. I've always wanted to help people. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to help people, particularly after my dad died, because I wanted people to help me. And maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe it comes from some wound, some early, maybe not a wound, maybe it was always there, and the loss of my dad, and realizing that I needed uncles to fill in the spot, the mentorship, and almost like a life scholarship. A coach. I needed a coach. I needed attention in school, and I didn't get it. Maybe that's what like spurred this, dude, I'm going to help people. You know, I talk about being other people's uncle. People call me Uncle G. Literally, I don't care if you have any money or not. Okay, I already got mine. My money's so right, and I'm grateful that my money's right. I want to help other people get their money right. I talk about money a lot because, you know, the school system that I went to all the way through college, an accounting degree, there was never a discussion about money. And for me, I'm trying to fill the gaps in between your education from your parents And that guy's upset. Miseducation, whether it be a church or school or home. Don't talk about money. You don't need money. Money won't make you happy. Money is the root of all evil. All these things that we've been taught. I'm here. I talk to you about money every day because nobody told you the truth about money. Dude, you need money. You don't need money to buy sparkles in the roof. That's just dumb. It's beautiful. It's nice. But how many you need? How many do you really need? You know, and this is what me and my wife talk about all the time. Okay, what is our purpose? And my purpose is to help people. My goal is to wake people up. I got a very strong message. It agitates some people. I know I got a style that doesn't accommodate everyone, but I'm trying to break through all the noise. You know, you got a lot of noise in the world. Got a lot of garbage in the world. Most of it's just putting people asleep. So when you hear me yelling, showing off, dude, I'm just trying to get your attention. My purpose is to wake you up, okay? I want to help you. I want to help as many people as I can. I'm getting ready to go into a sales meeting right now. There's going to be 75 people in this meeting. This is my office. This is my group. We have another 150 people in the field in my real estate company. For too many years, I stayed small. I stayed little. I needed somebody screaming at me. I needed somebody to tell me the truth, like, blow up, dude. You got to blow up. But you need a purpose to do that, okay? My purpose is to help people. I want to go down not for the money that I made or the books that I wrote, but the people I helped. And I want you to be one of them, okay? My purpose is to wake you up, to give you the truth, to keep you on the path. If you're in India right now, you're in South America, you're in China, you're in Hawaii, I don't care where you live, your race, your color, your religion, I will help you. Okay, I will help you. I don't need your money. I need your willingness to change your life. That fills me up more than any amount of money, fills me up more than a plane, fills me up more than a car. I want to be responsible for more than just myself, my wife, and my kids, and my 75 employees here, my 150 out on the road in the real estate. I want to do more than just something for myself. I want to help others. So if you're one of those people and I can help you, let me know how in comments. How can I help you? What program do you need? Do you need something on sales, marketing, social media? Do you need a bigger network? Do you need some help in money? I got plenty of programs. I'll give it to you if I need to, okay? God bless. Be great.
Everything that matters in life must be built. Woo! Let me tell you, that was worth the whole trip. If it's a business, it's got to be built. If it's a family, it's got to be built. If it's a marriage, it's got to be built. If it's a relationship, it's got to be built. You will not have success waiting on these microwave relationships. Everything in life, build. You have walked away from things saying they weren't finished, they weren't supposed to be. You left people and said they weren't ready, they weren't supposed to be. You have to build a boy into a man. You have to build a wedding into a marriage. You have to build a house into a home. Build it.
You know, we live in a world where opposites are in conflict and we're in the middle. There's the pull to do good and the pull to do evil, to do what's right, and the pull to cross the line. That bit of warfare goes on even in our own head, our own consciousness. When I was a little kid growing up, I remember this cartoon of a little boy, and it showed this little boy with a little devil on one shoulder and a little angel on the other shoulder. The little devil said to the little boy, "Go ahead and do it, it'll be okay. It'll be fine, go ahead, go ahead." And little angel saying, "No, no, no, don't do it, don't do it." Little devil said, "Yes, go ahead." Little angel voice, "No, no." And I guess that's part of our life experience. It's part of the adventure. The old prophet said, "Love good and hate evil." And if we become educated in that way, knowing when the voice of temptation is not the right road to take, we make some better choices. When I got up this morning, a little voice said, "You really don't have to do your exercises today. You could skip today. You've got some work to do." And I got in at about 1 o'clock this morning on my airline flight from Colorado Springs. But as recently as this morning, the little voice said, you don't have to do them this morning. But I well know that if I postpone a day, sure enough, I've got to make up for it somewhere. Maybe do a modified version if I don't have quite enough time, but don't let it just go. But we all have that. That's fairly constant, what voice to listen to. I guess part of the answer is not to become a victim of yourself. Beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse, but also beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. The little thief in your head that says, you're too tall, you're too short, you've never done it before, it's not going to happen for you. Others can find this book, you can't find it. If you found it, you probably wouldn't read it. If you read it, you probably wouldn't understand it. This is a constant bit of warfare going on inside of our head. So we all have to deal with that. But what I call that in these experiences is the great adventure. It seems as though God has designed human life and his own existence as a bit of adventure. First creating all the angels according to the storyteller. And we might surmise, what was that for? Maybe he didn't want to be alone, or maybe he wanted to create some kind of adventure for himself. Made one of the angels, the storyteller says, the most famous, the most beautiful, the leader. And finally Lucifer gathers up a third of the angels, makes a move on God's throne, loses, giving us a bit of insight, not much detail. I guess most of it's left to our imagination, which is probably what the storyteller wanted to create. Here's a few details and leave the rest to your imagination. So it seems like in the beginning, before the beginning, God, it seems, was interested in adventure. But I guess if you boil it down to something very simple, it says, would it be possible to win if you couldn't lose? And almost everybody says, well, no, it doesn't seem possible that you could win if you couldn't lose. So there has to be an adventure in order to have a victory, in order to have a win, in order to overcome, in order to create something of value. You must keep pulling positively against the negative forces, but that's what creates the adventure. If you took a football today and walked out to the football stadium, put it under your arm and crossed the goal line, would we all cheer and call it a touchdown? And the answer is no. It's not a touchdown until you face the 300-pounders who want to smash your face in the turf. And if you can muscle by them, dance by the secondary, cross the goal line with the football under your arm, now we call it a touchdown, maybe a championship. But not without the conflict. But that's a good phrase. Opposites are in conflict and we're in the middle. And on any given day or occasion, that conflict can occur. There's an interesting Bible story that says there were two nice people, according to the storyteller, and it says, however. It's an interesting word, and that's where the adventure begins. However, one built his house on the rock, and the other built his house on the sand. Nice people can make foolish decisions about the future and then suffer the consequences, especially when the storm comes. So the key is to try your best. So many questions are not a matter of morality. It's a question of being careless or careful, being cautious rather than reckless, but not too cautious. So it's kind of an interesting challenge. If you were so cautious driving on a two-way highway, every time a car came your way, you were troubled about thinking whether or not he was going to stay on his side of the line, that you pulled off the road, wait for him to pass, then got back on the road and continued your journey. We would call that a bit too cautious. It may take you 2 or 3 days to get to your destination. So you say somehow when the traffic's coming your way on a two-way highway, you must trust at least the law of averages that says, I have a pretty good chance of arriving, even though there's not a guarantee that 1 out of 1,000 coming my way, I'll cross the line and it'll be the end. So we do have to be cautious, but not too cautious, and let those daily experiences lead us into a better life, a better month, a better year. I arrived on an airplane flight once, and the flight attendant came on and said, ladies and gentlemen, you have now completed the safest part of your journey. From now on, it gets dangerous. Fasten your seatbelt. I thought that was interesting. You've now completed the safest part of your journey. According to statistics, for the miles covered, it's the safest way to go.
We'd like to thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
We wonder why our culture's depressed when depressed people get all the love and attention. Isn't that interesting? It's hard to figure this one out, isn't it? So what I want you to do is you got to make a choice. You can either bow your head and fit in, because if you stand out, then there are going to be a few people that are going to take shots at you, and that comes with the territory. So you either get to live with your head bowed or live with your head high and take a few hits and enjoy your life like most people never will. But you got to choose, because you can't live in between. There is no in between. You either step up or you step down. We all have a fear we're insignificant and unloved, or will be. So that's all that's happening for you. It's called being a human. It just shows up in the context because you can pick a profession where on a regular basis you need to make requests of people, and lots of times they're going to say no, and their no becomes for him rejection, failure. Worthless is the word he would never say that he really felt. He doesn't want to say worthless because that scares the hell out of him. So he says, not successful. Failure, not successful. You'll never get to worthless because that's a scary word to say. No one wants to say they feel worthless, but that's what everybody's afraid of feeling. Now, search your own heart, your own experience, and see if that's true. And that's probably not true for you, but how many have seen other people have a fear of being worthless or not being loved or not success? Other people, how many have seen that? Of course, those other people have those feelings. So maybe you do too at times. Now, I know you don't feel that way when you're competent and you're in charge and you're controlled and everything's going your way. That's your plan, that you do all those things. Some people work all the time so they can feel that because they have control. They're with their kids and they feel incompetent, so they go back and work more because they don't know how to deal with this thing. The kid wants to watch the Disney show for the 5,000th time. You know, they don't know how to deal with that. So human beings have these common fears. Now, what do? Well, here's the truth. The fear will never leave you completely. That's the truth. So when you know something's true, it's best to hug the monster instead of fear the monster. Only way to deal with fear that I found in my life is a couple ways. One of those ways is to turn it on itself and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? If I'm afraid of that, I got to be more afraid of what I'm going to miss out on, missing out on my mission, missing out on who I'm supposed to be. In other words, if you're not getting rid of fear, then use fear. Use fear or it uses you. It's that simple. You know, fear is at pandemic levels. Fear is, viral today. And as you know, when someone gets in a fearful place for whatever reason, whether it's something real or not, it has a hormonal response. All of a sudden, the heart starts racing. You start to breathe shallow. Everything narrows down your focus. And what happens is we go into survival. And we all have a survival brain because we all have a 2 million-year-old brain. And that brain's always looking for what's wrong. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that tap into that today.
I was a millionaire by age 31. I'm broke by age 33. Couple of million, 2.5 million, all swept away. Making foolish decisions. That first money, it's really hard to keep. I'm just a young guy, 31, 32 years old. But sure enough, I fell for some of the temptations. Somebody's going to be parted with their money before long when they say, like I did, how many colors does it come in, right? I'll buy them all. That kind of sort of recklessness. And then making some unwise business decisions. Company wanted to borrow some money, $250,000. The bank said, well, if Mr. Rohn will sign personally, we'll let you have the money. And I knew they could pay it back, so I signed, so I'm the hero. They pay it all back. I leave, go away. I find out a little bit later that the company got in financial trouble, went back and borrowed this $250,000 again. And I said, well, I hope they don't call me because this time I won't sign. I signed the first note. It was all paid back, but I knew they weren't going to make it this time. And they never called. However, sure enough, within a year, this company goes belly up. And I get a letter from the bank saying, dear Mr. Rohn, we have here your guarantee that if the company can't perform, you will. On this $250,000, please send us your check. And I said, hey, there's been some mistake here. I signed the first note, but nobody ever called me. I never signed the second note. What I didn't know that I had originally signed was a continuing guarantee. Now I know what the word continuing means. I know how much it costs per letter. But anyway, that and a few other experiences, and some of my newfound wealth was on paper, and that disappeared. So sure enough, from poor to rich and from rich back to poor, what do you do now? What occurred to me was that even though my money was gone, I still had the skills. And the skills proved to be more valuable than the money. So I just simply went back to work, went back to the street. Back using the formula I had used in the first place to do well and made many times more what I did the first time. But I think that's the key. You just have to go back to work. And part of it was I was willing to readjust my lifestyle. The fancy cars had to go, the homes and all that stuff had to go. And you go back to a modest apartment and a modest place and pull everything down to start over rather than try and keep living up here when you should have to start over back to the street or whatever you have to do. And just put it together again. No different than the farmer who plants in the spring and it's all gone when the hailstorm is finished. He goes back in the spring and says, let's try it one more time. I can't imagine 2 years in a row. Once in a while, maybe there would be 2 years in a row when you get wiped out, but not that often. So you try it again. And probably from the experience, if you treat it right and keep the right attitude, you'll be stronger than you were the first time around or the second time around. But everything comes down to attitude and philosophy. When I first started working on my fortune as well as my living, my mentor said it depends on your attitude. If you say, I'm working a little extra time to pay some bills, that'd be one thing. But if you said, I'm working a little extra time to start my fortune, see, that makes getting out of bed totally different. To get up to pay some extra bills is one thing. To get up to lay the foundation for your fortune, see, is a whole different attitude and mindset and philosophy. So if you have the right attitude, no matter what's happened, if you just readjust your attitude and your philosophy and a whole new mindset and start again.
These people aren't living life. They're not truly experiencing life. What do you really want to do? Well, I don't like this, but I guess I'll go ahead on and do. No! The life is too short for that. Too short and unpredictable, moseying through. Not trying to disturb anything, not trying to shake anything up, not trying to make any waves. You see, there are some people who come through the universe and their level of contribution and the level of energy they manifest is so small, so inconspicuous, that when they go, you won't even know they left. I mean, there are people who die on jobs and you say, hey, where's John? Oh, John been dead 6 months. You're kidding. No. Is that right? Yeah. I didn't know. Why did somebody say, well, I guess we didn't miss him. But there's some people, because of their personality, because of their contribution, because of the investment of their time and their energy and the impact they have there, that when they go, everybody will miss them. So when Mother Teresa checks out, everybody will know. When Rosa Parks, everybody will know. Nelson Mandela, everybody will know. Why? Because of their contribution. See, but there's some people, because their contribution is so small, no one will care. So I'm saying, before you are boxed and buried, decide that you're going to box and bury your fears. Decide that you're going to begin to live life on a new level, seeking out new horizons, that you're going to find more love and more joy and more ways to give more to life. God said something, I love this. He says, everything a man does for himself, guess what? He takes with him. But everything he does for others, he leaves behind. So when you begin to say, what is it that I want to leave? What contribution that I want to begin to make? What difference do I want to make in life? What is it that I want to do with the rest of the life that I have left? What chances I need to take? What risks do I need to begin to embrace? What fears do I need to step on? What areas of my life am I dead right now? What dream? You can either live your dreams or live your fears. You have got to get to a point where you say, I'm sick and tired of living like this. There's got to be more. That's when people go out and strike out on their dreams. That's when people get out of relationships where they're dying together rather than growing together. That's where they leave jobs. So where are you going? Away from here.
You've been trying to do it yourself. You've been trying to figure it out for yourself, how that's been working out for you. Kind of crazy, ain't it? I just told you earlier, you can't figure it out. Ain't no scripture nowhere tell you to figure it out. What you trying to figure your life out for? It ain't yours. You ain't make it. You ain't the creator. You ain't got nothing to do with tomorrow. You can't change the past. So what you tripping with your life for? You have not because you ask not. Y'all ain't never asked God, could you be rich? Most people ain't rich today because you ain't never asked God, could you be rich? I ask God every day when I was homeless.
My God is faithful. And my God is powerful. And my God is in charge.
At the lowest point of my life, I ask God every day, could I be rich? You know why? Because I had it up to here with being poor. I lived in a car, dog. I ain't had no backyard. I ain't had no TV. I ain't had no phone. I ain't got no bathroom. I ain't got no sink. I ask God every day, could I be rich? I told God, if you let me make it, when I get there, every chance I get, I'm going to tell everybody it was you. Here I am. And it was him. It was him. Now you got another route you want to take, go ahead. See, the thing about having faith is you don't need nobody's permission. You don't have to take out a loan. You don't have to get accepted into the course. You can start your faith today. You can start your walk with God today. You ain't got to clear it with nobody. There's plenty of openings. He's available. All you got to do is go. I got rich, and I'm not bragging, but I'm just telling you, I got rich because I asked. It is an amazing scripture. If you would only ask, well, Steve, what do I ask for? Everything. You want a relationship with God where God is not only your king, he's your companion, he's your guide, he's your friend. You know how you can tell your friend anything? That's the relationship he's looking for. You ain't got to go to church to get that. You have that at your house. You can have a relationship with God on your own. You got to have that, man. You got to start asking God for big stuff. Stop wasting God's time with all this little stuff. Lord, help me make my rent. Don't he always? Has it ever occurred to you that maybe you should ask God for a mortgage? You ever thought of that? You don't think God got mortgage money? But you know why you don't ask God for the mortgage? Because you keep getting in the way. It says you have not because you ask not. But you say, well, I don't have a job that dictates I would afford a mortgage. I don't make enough money. I got bad credit. You think God don't know that? He said ask. You have not because you ask not. So you rule yourself out of the mortgage simply because you won't ask.
Ask, that's it. End of notes. Ask. If there's one art in life to learn extremely well, that's got to be one of them. The art of ask. What does ask mean? Ask means, what do you want? And the formula is staggering. It says ask, and what? A guy ought to look into that. He says, yeah, but you work where I work. By the time you struggle home, it's late. You got to eat a bite of supper, watch a little TV, get to bed. You can't sit up half the night, ask. And the guy speaks See, you've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good asker. Now, let me give you 3 key points on asking and receiving. This can do it. Number 1, asking is the beginning of receiving. Asking starts a unique process, mental and emotional. I don't even know how it works. All I know is it works. It's like pushing a button and all this machinery starts working. I don't know how. It just works. There's a lot of things you don't need to know how. Just work them. Some people are always studying the roots. Others are picking the fruit. I mean, it depends on what end of it you want in on. Asking is the beginning of receiving, so start the process. Here's number 2. Receiving is not the problem. Receiving is automatic. Now, if that's true, receiving is not the problem, what's the problem? Failure to ask might be one of your major problems. I don't know. Check it out. The guy says, oh, now I see it. I got up last year and hit it every day, but there's not a scrap of paper with my goal. Good worker, poor asker. So you got to change that. Here's number 3. Receiving is like the ocean. There's plenty, especially in California. It's like an ocean here. Success is not in short supply. It isn't rationed, and you stepped up to the window and it was all gone. No, no, no. It's like an ocean here. Now, if that's true, what's the problem? Well, some people go to the ocean with a teaspoon.
Whatever the Creator tell you in the dark, listen to me. Whatever He tells you, remember, greatness is remembering in the dark what the Creator told you in the light. I tell the little homies, do me a favor. You got 3 minutes, little homie, to give me that little crying story. You got 3 minutes. Tell me when you're ready and go. You will not take 10 minutes of my time whining and crying about it. You give me 3 minutes and give me your story, and you got 10, 15 minutes to give me a solution. Nobody want to hear that, because after the end of it, my wife left me, and what you gonna do about it? Is she gone for good, or you going to get her? No, bro, I'm talking from experience, bro. My sophomore year in college, doing my thing, traveling the road, not listening to my wife. She packed up and came back to the D. I said, I'm through. I said, all right, you might be, but not without me coming down there. You feel me? You can tell me on the phone you through with me. I'm cool with that. You can write me a letter, because there wasn't no text back then. You can write me a letter and tell me. No, hear what I'm saying. You can tell me on the phone you through with me. I invested too much. I invested too much to quit. I made too many sacrifices to give up. No, listen to me. That's why it's so easy for you to quit, because you ain't paid nothing for it. I paid too much. I stood before your mama and your dad and said, till death do us part. If you leave, you will not leave me over the phone or through a letter. You will look me in my face and tell me you gone after I bring you the roses. Listen to me. You got to hear what I'm saying. I ain't talking like somebody who ain't never been through nothing. I'm telling you she got up and left. I'm telling you she drove all the way back to Detroit from Alabama by herself and was through. I got on the road. So I will greet this day with love in my heart, all positive. When I see her, I don't care what she say. She will know in my heart, I'm sorry and I want you back. That was 26 years ago. So if you go outside and you see it's like dark, 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 and you see the stars out there, listen to me. You can only see the stars in the what? That's the only time you can see the stars. You can't see the stars when the sun is out. You can only see the stars when it's dark. So y'all got to start doing me a favor. It's some crazy stuff going on right now. But what I will not do is allow that craziness over and over, all the days of my life, over and over and over again. Greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. Oh, I got my stuff. So when life happens, I don't just sit there and cry. I buck back. I buck back. When I see stupid stuff on the news, see, I saw what happened in Vegas. That's why I woke up the next day and I went to the school system with my church and my crew, and we went in there and inspired kids. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Love you and believe in God. Yep, you took 50 lives. Now we about to go inspire 50 lives. And we ain't gonna talk. I ain't gotta do a lot of talk. People come, Eric, what do you think? It don't matter what I think. I'm past talking. They don't eat from you talking. They don't eat from news. They don't eat from commentary and critique. Where I come from, they eat when somebody go help them eat. I ain't just talking to talk. We will be at the school and we will videotape it while we're there. And we'll put it up on YouTube so other teachers who don't know how to train our babies and bring the best out of our babies and engage and motivate our babies, I will show them what it looks like. So you took 50 and injured 400. We coming for you. That hate is not greater than love. Hate has never been greater than love. Hate has never conquered.
Love conquers all.
Someone who has given away their right to form their own perceptions then accepts what authority tells them is true and reacts, behaves on the basis of that. Whereas those who are awakening, they have a process. They look at information from different sources of information and evidence, and they process that information into their own unique conclusion. And when they do that, they come to very different conclusions to those that just concede their right to think. And we are seeing now, in this ever-gathering extreme of the COVID era, the very clear expressions of the difference between not controlling your perceptions and controlling your perceptions, because we are looking at two very, very different groups of people who are very different because they have very different perceptions and therefore they behave differently. These two groups have always been there to be seen throughout human history, in every culture. This is why, if you look through human history, and as we perceive history anyway, the few have always controlled the many, because the great majority have always gone through this process of conceding their right to form their own perceptions and taken them from authority. Either that, or the other group that concedes its right to make its own decisions is another group that really can see some of it and doesn't really want to do what it's being told to do, but does it anyway because it fears the consequences of not doing so. So those two groups throughout human history, those that just do what they're told without question, and those that do what they're told even though they'd rather not do it, they are the two groups that have allowed every tyranny in history to be formed, because tyrannies are run by the few, and therefore the mathematics alone say that that can't happen unless great numbers of the many are in those two groups. And if you look again through history, and it's just a recurring theme, it's just incredibly extreme now and in our face, you see that this other group that forms its own opinions and to a much greater extent controls its own perceptions, and crucially retains that self-respect